Hello there guys! In this lesson we will be learning about function overloading, what it is and how to use it. So without further ado, let us start. Now function overloading is a method that we use to give a function different implementation. So for different parameters of this function we can have different implementations. Now let me just show what I told you. Let us say we declare a function, type void, we name it print, and it will take as input a character, so as parameter a character. Then we will print a message showing that this is a character, and then we will print the actual character. And this is everything that this function will do. We go to main here, declare a character A, value K, then we call this function. Since this is a void type function, it's not like we need to assign anything, this value to anything. For example, character K equals the print A. We just don't need to do this because this won't return anything. The void function won't return anything, so it's useless doing so. This is why we'll just call this function here and it will show us the output. And if we build it and run it, as we can see here, the output is clear. This is a character K. Now let us say we want a similar function, but this time for an integer. We will do something like this, print 2. It will take an integer, let's say I, and we would print this. This is an integer. And we will print the integer here. We can add an end line here, just so it can be more clear. Even here, end line. And if we go to the main here, we can declare an integer like b with value 11. And we can call the function print2 with the value b. Now if we build it and run it, as we can see here, we get the function that is specific for an integer. This is an integer. Okay, pretty straightforward because we have called another function that is specific for this type of data, an integer. But let us say we want to do this for a double, a float, or a short, or let's just say in general we have even user-defined objects. Now, the problem here is that it would be a little bit hard to remember all of the names of the functions. You could perhaps like do something like this, for example, print integer to be a little bit more specific. So this would be easier, but still there is a shorter way for us to do this. It's by function overloading. Now, the way we perform function overloading is, well, just like this, to be honest. You got the first function here. The second function that will be overloading the first function will be identically the same, except one part of the function will be its parameter. So the parameters here change, as you can see here. The type, the return type, the name of the function is the same, but the only thing that is changing is the parameter. Now, if we were to build it, we show that no error happens here, and if we were to run it, what we see here is that we actually get the same output as before, as we had two different functions, but this time we are using function overloading. Now what this does is that it first, the compiler, when it sees the print A, it first checks the first function. It sees that it matches the character. As we can see here, the input is a character, so it matches this function. So good, it executes this function, it calls this function. Then when we get to the second print, it checks its input, its parameter, and it says it's an integer. It checks the first function, this requires a character, so it moves on to another overloading function, and the second one takes as input an integer. The compiler says, okay, this is what I want, and we actually get this function. We can also add another function here, like working with double, cout, sorry, this, and we print the double here. If we were back to go back, here we will declare double, name it C 1.2. We can call the function print here, the double C, we build it and run it. As we can see here, we get a specific output. This is a double, 1.2. So function overloading is a very important topic. It makes our code cleaner and easier for us. We will be using it a lot when we get to classes and inheritance and polymorphism. But for now, you just remember that this is why we use function overloading, to define different implementation for the same function, but with different parameters. So this is everything for today, guys. See you next time.